Greetings and welcome to Monster Legends. For another special feeding episode. This time we're going to be feeding a Thunder Mythic I acquired at the recent Freak Circus Leap Marathon. And this is Siamiss. And in addition to being a Mythic and Thunder, Siamiss is from the underworld, they're female, and they're part of the Evil Legions. They also showed up with lots of open ruin slots, so they're very, very welcome. Look how happy they are to be here. Alright, and I have a special place all ready for them. Right there. How very electric they are. Alright, so where are they? They're right here. Hi, Keely. Okay, well that's an interesting name. But I actually do have a name. I'm just hoping I'm going to be able to fit it. And of course, that's going to be Laverne and Shirley. Anyway, this is Siamiss. Siamiss is a mythic. Siamiss is thunder. Siamiss has an evolving trait. Let's take a look at this. At rank 1, Siamiss is immune to blindness. At rank 1, they gain Abomination. Abomination means that you are immune to possession, corruption, nightmares, and bleeding. Very useful. Definitely going to be ranking them up. And at rank 3, Siamiss gains a status cast for self-precision. Much better chance of actually hitting your target, which is really good because Siamiss is a controller. Alright, let's check out Siamiss's stats here. Strength is not very good. No, it isn't. Life is actually very good indeed. It's going to come out to about 58,000 when they reach 100. So yeah, that's kind of chunky there. But then again, there are two of them there, so you can understand. And of course, their speed is very good indeed, which is exactly what you want from your denial/controller. Alright, so let's check out the initial skills. We'll begin with Horror Twins. Deals moderate thunder damage to one enemy, applies shock to one enemy. Okay, that's pretty good. Shock, of course, is a torture effect that blocks extra turn skills. 0 cooldown. And then we have Stuck in the Freak Tent. Deals low thunder damage to all enemies. It's got a 1-round cooldown. I mean, this one, it's not bad. This one, not so good. And of course, we have the special skill, A Big Applause. Applies Mega Possession to all enemies, activates all cooldowns on all enemies. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Just in case they have 0 cooldowns or use their special skills, right? Meet the new star of Hercule's Freak Circus. Her name is Siamiss, and she's truly an extraordinary monster. The right head can spit snakes. It's a dangerous one. However, the left head is an excellent poet. From the moment he saw her, Hercule knew he absolutely needed Siamiss on the show. He's referring to them as a her. I see it as a them. That's just me. Anyway, one way or another, we have to feed them, right? Because I think that's only polite. So let's start with the tomatoes to get them to their final form, and there they are. Her name is very unfortunately placed there. Yeah, I mean, could you guys just look at that before you say, okay, we're ready to go with that? That's very unfortunate. All right, let's get on with the skills. And we're starting at level 7. Show must go on. Deals low special damage to one enemy, activates all cooldowns on one enemy. All right, that's useful. By the way, I did fix that. So let's move on to the next one. At level 10, Built to Astonish. Deals moderate thunder damage to one enemy, applies guard down and daze to one enemy. And of course, guard down is a debuff. If you have it, you will always get hit by attacks. Even if the attacker has total blind, they won't miss. So that's a very useful one there. Pretty good attack, 0 cooldown. We're not going to be keeping it though. She actually has a lot of really good skills further on, and we're going to kind of have to make a decision on one combination, but we'll talk about when we get there. And boom, double show. Deals heavy thunder damage to one enemy, activates all cooldowns, and applies mega possession to one enemy. I am definitely going to be keeping that one, so I'm going to put it right over there. Alright, so let's continue, this time to level 25. The best show on Earth. Removes positive status effects from one enemy, applies shock and daze to one enemy. Alright, so something like that is very, very useful. You could take off a Mega Taunt, you could take off an Evasion, you could take off a skill-created shield, all those kinds of buffs and stuff, and regeneration and anything like that. Very useful skill. I'm going to put it there for now. Alright, so let's continue to level 30. Build to Astonish. Alright, no, we're not going to be keeping that one. It's a good skill, but we just have better ones coming. Hopefully at 35, it's showtime. Anytime. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies. Applies shock and guard down to all enemies. That is a very, very useful skill right there. And I'm going to throw it right there. Giving shock and guard down to the other team. Very, very useful indeed. And we have one left. Hopefully it shows up here. Spectacle starts. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies, activates all cooldowns on all enemies, applies bleed to all enemies. So that is a very good one. That's bread and butter right there. Gonna activate cooldowns, make them bleed, do a bit of damage. That's their bread and butter right there. And I do believe we have everything for now, so let's just get on to 60. And that's the end of that. Alright, let's go in and take a look at her skills because there is something I want to bring up. These are the skills that I am going to be going with. When she is level 100 or above and she's going to be in PvP, which she's going to see a lot of, by the way, these are definitely the skills that I'm going to be using. There is a small problem with them, of course, and that's the cooldowns. If she gets her cooldowns activated, she's not going to be able to do anything for 2 turns. That is a problem, but I am not going to hamper the monster based on that. Because all of these skills are just so very useful that I don't want to mess with them. However, when I do the adventure map, I'm actually going to swap this skill with this skill. The reason is, this one is not really very useful in at least the first 2 turns of my testing, so I'm just not going to use them. I'm not going to switch it now, because I know that confuses some people. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to put the show must go on in there, and probably for the last turn, when we get to 100, then I'm going to put this one back in. But I'm going to leave it there for now, because I said, some people get confused by that. Alright, let's take a look at her stats. We already got a good idea. Yeah, her strength isn't very good. Her life is over 21,000 here at level 60. So yeah, about 58,000, a little bit below that. They're definitely not frail. And speed is very good right there. You see approaching 3,100 there right at level 60. They're going to be very fast, especially when you put lots and lots of speed on them there. A little bit of a spoiler. Anyway, let's look at the skills that I selected here, and let's begin with Spectacle Starts. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies, activates all cooldowns on all enemies, applies bleed to all enemies. So they're going to get some damage. She's not a damage dealer, so that's really not the big part, but a little extra damage is always useful. She's going to activate their cooldowns, which means that if a skill has a cooldown that isn't 0, they're not going to be able to use it. There are mythics who have powerful 0 cooldown skills, so that is a danger. So there's nothing we can do about that because that's what she does. But generally speaking, this is very powerful denial. She's also going to make them bleed. It's not something she's going to do once she gets to rank 1. Having the other side bleed is okay with me. Next we have Double Show. Deals heavy thunder damage to one enemy, activates all cooldowns, and applies Mega Possession to one enemy. So it's going to do damage, a little bit more than she does with her other skills, but then again, her power really is not that of a damage dealer. It's going to activate cooldowns, we just kind of talked about that. The big thing here is it's going to apply Mega Possession to them. As I was talking about, there are some mythics who have powerful 0 cooldown attacks. If she uses this skill and does possess them, they will be able to use those, but they'll be using it against their own team. And for 2 rounds, since Mega Possession is a possession that lasts for 2 turns. That's actually really useful right there. And it is going to do some damage. Next we have It's Showtime. Anytime. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies. Applies shock and guard down to all enemies. Alright, it's a group attack. Does moderate thunder damage. Again, not a lot because her power really isn't very strong. But it is going to apply shock, which is, of course, a torture effect that's going to block extra turn skills. It's also going to put guard down. As I said, incoming attacks will always hit. Even if the attacker has total blind, any attack will hit. That's useful for the entire team as well, because they're not going to be missing their targets on the other side of the battlefield. And finally we have the best show on earth. Removes positive status effects from one enemy, applies shock and daze to one enemy. This is going to remove any positive effects that were put on with either a status cast or a skill. It won't remove things that were added with a relic, though. Very important to remember that. It will also put shock on them, which is a torture effect that does thunder damage. It also blocks extra turn skills. It's also going to put daze on them, which is going to reduce their power and accuracy by 25%. This is actually pretty darn useful. But as I stated, it's not really very useful in the beginning of the adventure map. So I am going to remove this at the beginning of testing. I'm going to put it back on when she gets to, when they get to level 100. But this is definitely what I am going to be going with when she goes live. And as I previously mentioned, runes, speed, lots and lots of speed. They start with a really good initial speed, so the more you put on, the faster they're going to be, and you want them to be fast. You want them to get out in front of the other team. You want them to put the cooldown activation on with a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of damage. You also want them to be able to come back with the other group attack, which is going to do a little bit more damage and put shock and guard down. Once the guard down is there, your team will have no problem hitting them. Very, very good. Very, very strong character. Definitely a very strong character. And I can't wait to start testing with them. So this is Siamiss. They're great. And like I said, I can't wait to start testing with them. So anyway, thank you very much for your attention. I really appreciate it. And play games because games are fun. See ya.